Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, or as John Campea calls me, your existential Mr. Rogers, Robert Meyer Burnett. And this is a John Campea Show, a mailbag for Friday. I don't even know what day it is. August 5th, 2022. That's my old Rebecca Black. I was going to go down and get some cereal and go to school and all that. Remember that song? Remember she did a metal cover of it? Did you hear that? Oh, well, probably didn't. Anyway, this is the mailbag. As you know, during the John Campea Show, during the week, we open up the Super Chats for a very short period of time because we want to be able to answer your questions live on every show. But if you don't hear, I can't even speak today. If we don't see or hear from you during that time, we have operatives around the world 24/7. And if you go to that link right below, you can send a question in that we will answer on the mailbag. And you know, I've got Ray Ora over here. We'll assist. Right, Ray?
Yep.
I got Taylor here. I got Jonathan Boyko. I got everyone.
The gang's all here.
Anyway, we're going to see what you guys have to say. Maybe I can get through an entire sentence without stumbling over myself. We're going to start with Anonymous. Anonymous says, with the current rumors of HBO Max potentially being axed, I just think of the times when John used to say Zaslav taking over WB is a good thing. Yeah, those are fun times. Well, Anonymous, here's the thing. They did announce that there's going to be some kind of a combination happening. We knew that Discovery was going to be merged with HBO Max in some way, shape, or form. What that is going to look like, I mean, I think that HBO is a great brand name. I would imagine maybe they'll call it HBO Discovery, or they might get rid of home box office entirely. I mean, if you really think about it, even though the problem is, to me, HBO is like the Tiffany standard in terms of prestige programming. And I think getting rid of HBO entirely might be a mistake. Now, I can understand how this new company, they might want to just brand it Warner Discovery. But I think HBO has such a legacy. I mean, you're going all the way back to the, I believe, early 80s. I'm not sure exactly when HBO was founded, but it's a 40-year-old brand, and they still have the best, I think, the best programs on television. I mean, their legacy is incredible. Everything from, well, Dream On, but then there's The Sopranos and Game of Thrones and The Wire, and I mean, just about everything else you can possibly imagine. Sex and the City that HBO did well, and I don't think they're going to give that name up, but I could be wrong. But you know, whatever happens, we'll know in a year. They said they're going to wait until 2023, so we'll see when they do that. But I don't think they're going to get rid of it entirely. And look, that's what this merger is all about. And change is good. Change is good. So there you go, Anonymous. Those are my thoughts. Chicken Powder. Chicken Powder sends in a tip and says, since John is so adamant that they'll never greenlight a Batman Beyond movie, why haven't the team placed a bet with John that if they do announce a movie, then he'll have to buy each member of the Batman Beyond team a hot toy? Boom! Put that on your plate. Chicken Powder, the only reason that John says that is because he's never watched Batman Beyond. He doesn't know anything about Batman Beyond. He only knows who Terry McGinnis is because he's heard us say it. I do honestly think that a Batman Beyond movie is a viability of some. It's a viable. It could happen because I think Batman Beyond is a great. It's Batman meets Blade Runner. It could be a great film with the right creative team, and you know, I could see somebody like Michael Keaton play Bruce Wayne to a young Terry McGinnis. Why not? Obviously, he's in the Arkham games. And there already is a great Batman Beyond hot toy from the Arkham games, which I have. As a matter of fact, I should bring that in next and just put it on the table and just remind John of Batman Beyond every single day. But, you know, the problem with making that bet with John is he doesn't like stuff. John doesn't collect things. You know, he doesn't have any. He doesn't want a hot toy, so I don't know. I just have to give him money if I lost. I don't want to give John money. I like it when he gives me money. But, hey, one day, John will come around and realize that a Batman Beyond movie could be cool. Today might not be that day, but sometime in the future, he'll come around. He'll come around. Bob Gray says, my top 5 comic book movies are 1, The Dark Knight, 2, Logan, 3, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. 4, Avengers Infinity War. 5, The Batman from 2022. I know this stuff is subjective, but what are your thoughts and critiques of my list? Bring on the filthy. I think it's a very respectable list, Bob, but, you know, not a lot of surprises there. I think that you've picked, obviously, the cream of the crop. There's nothing, you know, I would say that, I'm going to tell you, if I made a top 5 comic book movies list, you know what would be on it? The Crow. I think The Crow is one of the great comic adaptations. People don't usually think about it because didn't come from the Marvel or DC pantheon, but still, I think The Crow is a great movie. It's really well done, and Alex Proyas knocked it out of the park. It can't rain all the time. But you have a great list there. I think it's a fine list. I don't know if I would add or subtract. I'm old and close to death, so I think that I would always have to put in Christopher Reeve's Superman the movie because it was, you know, I was so impressionable when I saw it, and I still, to this day, the Superman theme gives me chills. So I would have to probably put Superman the movie, even though it's hard to go back and look at that movie now. It is quite dated, and I completely understand why it doesn't usually make people's lists, because I think comic book movies have evolved and surpassed what they did with Superman the movie. But for me, when I was a kid, it was a really big deal to see that movie in 1978. I know people are going, 1978? You saw a movie in 1978? That's how effing old I am. Yeah, it's true. Rocco C says, hi, probably Rob. You're right. I enjoy the show and all the endless jibber-jabbering. What about a live-action Green Arrow film for the big screen? I envision every time he shoots an arrow, it's a total money shot and very cinematic. Just a thought. Well, yeah. Look, I'm a huge Green Lantern. I'm a huge, actually, Green Arrow and Green Lantern teamed up back in the 70s. But I'm a huge Green Arrow fan. As a matter of fact, I really loved Mike Grell in the 80s rebooted Green Arrow and did the Longbow Hunters, and then did the Green Arrow series, which I loved. And it concentrated on his relationship with Black Canary, and I've always loved that classic Green Arrow look with the beard and the mustache and all that. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see them do a classic Green Arrow movie. I just don't know. I don't know if you could make. I mean, look, you can make a movie around anything, but I don't know if audiences would buy. I mean, we've had Arrow, but I don't know if they would buy a full feature-length Green Arrow movie. I don't quite know what that would look like. I don't know. I mean, maybe, but hey, every time he shoots an arrow, definitely a money shot. And I would put ABC, the song "Shoot That Poison Arrow," if you're an '80s fan. Why not? Because it could be poison. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't think it would be. I don't think they're going to make it, but I would watch it if they did, because I'm a Green Arrow fan. By the way, if you really want to get, I think they even make an absolute edition. Get the Green Arrow, Green Lantern comics from the 70s. Neil Adams drew them. I think Denny O'Neil wrote them. They're really good. Really good stuff. Great art, too. Our friend Jonathan Nemella is here. Hello, Rob. About that Batgirl movie being canceled, why can't WB release Batgirl on digital and physical media for fans to rent and own? Is WB already at a loss? Why not make a small profit and let the film be a home release for fans? For why, WB? Give us Batgirl. Well, Jonathan, I just think they don't think it's good enough. And even if they release it as a direct-to-video movie, I mean, I still think it kind of denigrates their brand. I mean, Batman is the superhero brand for WB. Batman is their guy, even more so than Superman. And Batman continually, ever since Christopher Nolan rebooted Batman for Batman, what was it, 2005, for Batman Begins? I mean, and even now in 2022, Pattinson's Batman was a prestige title for WB. And I think if they release a Batgirl movie that's substandard, I think their fear is they're actually hurting their core brand, and that's why they're not releasing it. And I'm like, look, who wants a sucky Batgirl movie? I love Batgirl. Yvonne Craig back in the 60s, man, come on. I mean, I've had a thing for redheads since I came out of the womb, but she was one very sexy lady in that Batgirl costume. And I think that, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just think that that if Miss Grace is also a very beautiful woman, but a background movie still has to be a great background movie. And if they don't make a great Ray is laughing at me. Ray Ora is laughing at me. Where are we going? I don't know. Where do we go now? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think that. I think they probably made a good decision. I don't know if we'll ever see it. Maybe they'll release it in 5 years. Who knows? Nick Soto says, "Hi guys, I've been watching Westworld and For All Mankind all summer. Fantastic sci-fi. Westworld teaches you how to write with all their crazy concepts, and season 4 is great. I keep hearing that. I need to delve in. Just finished season 2 of For All Mankind, and I gotta say, dick move, writers. Let's go, 1995. Well, Nick, you're in for a treat. I would say this, though. Just remember, take a good, hard look at the foot, the boot, at the end of season 2, and ask yourself, who is that? Who is that? Who indeed? They come back to it. You'll find out, but you're not going to find out until episode 10 of season 3. That's all I'm saying. But it's great, and you know, to have such great highbrow sci-fi on TV is fantastic. Westworld season 4, by all accounts, is great. Everyone's told me that, and of course, I love For All Mankind. I think it's and it's uplifting. And it has great representation, no matter who you are. Some of the best probably in television history. It's great. And who would have thought? Well, I'm not going to spoil anything. Just you wait and see. I'm not. Ray's laughing because he's waiting for me to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. So just you wait. Kyle Hicks, 1 out of 2. Hey, Rob, greetings from Australia. Well, do me a favor. Drink some Coopers for me because I'm a huge fan of Coopers. I lived in Australia for a year. I loved it. I lived in Sydney for a year. Actually, I was in Tamworth for almost a month, too. So greetings back right at you. But have some Coopers. I loved Coopers. That's a beer, by the way. Quite like yourself, I, too, am a physical media enthusiast with tons of movies and television shows in my collection. I'm now 20. I've been collecting since I was 14, but what I want to know is, you mentioned you lived here in Australia for a short amount of time. I find it hard to get a hold of many different items for my collection, like steelbooks, as we don't get many. Did you collect during your time here? Kyle, that is a great, great question. I really didn't, only because the regions were different back then. I was there in 2005. And I bought a lot of CDs because obviously you in Australia, you have great musical tastes. And I did buy a lot of CDs. And I bought a lot of comic books, even though they were like twice as expensive because, you know, I had to keep up with my comic book stories. But I didn't really buy movies much because a lot of the stuff, you know, it came out late. I buy more Australian titles now from a company called Imprint. As a matter of fact, you know what I got yesterday from Imprint? God bless Imprint. I got The Warriors, the 1978 film The Warriors, on Blu-ray. It's the first time the original theatrical version has been made available. There's this weird director's cut. So this beautiful box set that Imprint put out has both versions in it. It was ridiculously expensive, but who cares, right? And I'm going to buy, they have a Wicker Man box set that I need to get next. But I'm a huge fan of Imprint. And I guess you just have to, like, I buy a lot of stuff. I import a lot of stuff. I buy stuff off Amazon UK all the time. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon Japan and actually Amazon France, Amazon Germany, Amazon Italy. I'm always buying stuff all over the world. Zavvi, I buy a lot of stuff of Zavvi. Second Sight, I buy directly from them. They're UK based. 88 Films is UK based. So I'm always looking around, and like you just got to go where the discs are. And I'm sorry, it's probably hard to find stuff in stores, but I too am importing discs from all over the place. Yeah, so that's all I can say. But I'm glad you're 20 years old and collecting physical media because your generation is dead to me for that reason. And since you do, you're not dead to me, which is good because you're only 20 and you represent the future. So thanks for that. Oh, Kyle goes on to say, you said 2 out of now 3. I didn't know. So you're not dead to me, so you've also got a third part to this question. So it's good that you're not dead to me. So Kyle says, if so, where would you recommend buying physical media here down under? I'm not one to collect different regions in physical media. Any tips or places I should try? I've gotten just about all releases on Steelbook here from JB Hi-Fi. Well, first of all, look, you cannot be a physical media collector, I think, without having a multi-region player. I have a dedicated, obviously HD discs, 4K discs are pretty much free. They're region free around the world. Sometimes now they're starting to lock them up though. But I have a region free player, so I don't care where I get my discs from. And one is I finally got a second player, so I have a dedicated region free player, and then I have my own region A player for the US. But I know it gets a little weird, and probably at being 20, you probably don't want to, and things are expensive in Australia, you probably don't want to drop $500 on another player. But I do recommend, it just depends what you want. I mean, it depends what you're looking for. There's a lot of places around the world that have movies that haven't been released here, or like The Warriors. I mean, I'm sure Paramount will get around to releasing The Warriors here domestically, but they haven't yet. And so I was able to get The Warriors from Australia. And how else would I get it? And it is not region A. I believe it's region B. So I have to play it on my region-free player. So, yeah, that's what I would recommend. Get a region-free player. Scott Brown says, I absolutely loved the Andor trailer. I've watched it 15 times. It gives the franchise some much-needed grittiness. It sort of looks like the Batman of Star Wars material. Rogue One is my second favorite Star Wars movie, so I'm really looking forward to the series. You know what, Scott? I agree with you. I think one of the things about the Andor trailer that first struck me is that it looks like it was shot on location. You know, Star Wars as a franchise, when it first began, I mean, they were in the Tunisian desert, you know, and then they shot at Pinewood Studios. They went to Norway to shoot Empire Strikes Back. They're on a real glacier, you know, and then, of course, for Return of the Jedi, they went to Yuma, Arizona to shoot the desert stuff at the beginning, and then they went up to the California redwood trees to shoot up there. So Star Wars, to me, you have to shoot on location to get that real authenticity. The beginning of Rogue One, they shot up in Iceland, you know, where Krennic comes to visit Mads Mikkelsen and have him come back to work for him. And I loved all that, and that's kind of what Andor looks like, which I think is a great way to go, because it just looks fantastic. It looks lush. It looks like the Star Wars of my dreams. So I'm with you. I hope it's great. It looks gritty. It looks really incredible, and I hope it is, because Star Wars needs that little grit. Kalon sends us a tip and says, this year marks the 30th anniversary of arguably the biggest event in comic book history, the death of Superman. What are your thoughts on this iconic storyline and its lasting legacy? Well, Kalon, it's good to point that out. I have a big omnibus of the death of Superman storyline. I was buying comics when it came out, and I have to tell you, I kind of thought the death of Superman himself, that story was kind of lame. I mean, basically, Doomsday shows up. I mean, his name's Doomsday, first of all. And I know Dan Jurgens wrote the storyline, and then Doomsday and Superman fight, and Doomsday kills him. What was really interesting, what I really loved about the death of Superman storyline, was the reign of the Supermen, the four Supermen that came after to fill the void that was left by dead Kal-El. And you had the cyborg Superman, you had Superboy, the John Henry, Steel. I liked all that, and I thought it was really interesting. And who was the real Superman? Was Superman going to come back from the dead? I love that storyline. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I mean, while the death of Superman, I don't know if you have it, but that final issue came polybagged with, it was like the black polybag with the bloody S. I still have that somewhere. And it was fun. I mean, it was a huge event. I just think that the storyline, the actual death of Superman storyline, was a little lackluster. I mean, he basically got in a big fight and got pummeled to death by a monster named Doomsday, who had lots of like bones protruding from him. And it was, you know, but I did love the Aftermath storyline. It was great setup. But it's interesting because now you make me want to go pull off my hardcover off the shelf today, which I'm going to probably go do, and revisit that story from 30 years ago. I really will be dead soon, but I remember when that came out. Mostly Mo says, the Batman and Joker were easily some of the best work DC has put out in recent years. Does WBD adopting a Feige-inspired long-term plan mean projects like The Batman and The Joker that are disconnected from a shared universe won't be produced anymore? Mostly Mo, that's a really good question. I think not. Obviously, we heard that the Joker sequel, Folie à Deux, is going to move forward. And it was announced Lady Gaga is indeed going to be in it, playing Harley Quinn, along with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. And I think that we probably might see more standalone movies, especially if they're prestige products that are director-driven, if they're considered auteurist visions. Todd Phillips' Joker, they made that movie for $65 million. It made $1 billion. That is a huge, even with a $100 million marketing budget, which I don't even think it had, that is a monstrously profitable film. And if you have, I would imagine that Zaslav, or now if it's Walter Hamada really following this up or shepherding these films into existence, if more directors have good ideas to make DC standalone movies with the characters, I think they'll do it, especially if they're not expensive. I mean, relatively speaking, if they're less than $100 million, because why not? You know, if you've got great world-class filmmakers that have a great idea, why not let them play? And everyone knows they're standalone movies. And if they can get that kind of return like Todd Phillips got with his Joker, that's just good business. I think, though, that you have to have the right filmmakers and the right approach to the material. But I don't think they would discontinue those movies. Not at all. If there's money to be made, and if it's a good story with great characters, why not do it? And now we're going to hear from the sponsor of this mailbag, the new TV series, The Resort.
We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Peacock's new series, The Resort. In Peacock's must-see new series, there's more than just trouble in paradise. There's a flip phone, a disappearance, and a suspiciously timed hurricane. The Resort, a new Peacock original from the creators of Palm Springs and Mr. Robot, is an unexpected exploration of how love, marriage, and family can be a real trip. When a couple finds an old flip phone in the jungle on an anniversary getaway, they are unknowingly pulled into an unsolved mystery, a bizarre case that went cold 15 years prior when a once-in-a-century storm wiped away all the evidence. This journey through the Mayan Riviera will take you from the edge of your seat to the depths of human experience and back again. Starring William Jackson Harper, Kristen Milioti, Luis Gerardo Mendez, and Nick Offerman, The Resort is streaming now only on Peacock.
And thanks to Peacock for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show Mailbag. Blake B. says, hello, Campea crew. Thanks for giving us great content daily. I have to ask, what do you think of Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes films? I absolutely love the second one, and I'm still clinging to hope that there will be a third. It's been over 10 years. Bring on the filthy. I got to tell you, I really like those movies. I love Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. partnering up. The feel of them are great. It's a great franchise. I don't know why they haven't made a third one. I think they absolutely could. There's been talk of doing a third one. I really like the films. I like the brawling Sherlock Holmes, I think. And Robert Downey Jr. does a great accent. I'm a big fan. I like that franchise. I'd love to see them round out the trilogy. So, like you, I'm wondering, where's my third Sherlock Holmes movie? Bring it on. Sam Fisher says, so I completely understand that Zaslav is the be-all and end-all at Warner Brothers Discovery, but could canceling Batgirl have actually been the first big move that Alan Horn has made that we know about? The acts of Zaslav might be swift, but Horn's fists of fury are mighty. Ooh. Well, Sam, you know, I would say this. Maybe. I mean, what they did was they basically, by canceling this movie, burned up $90 million in cash. I mean, I know they're going to write it off, and you run the risk of damaging talent relations, not just with our star Leslie or the two directors, but everybody else that was in that movie. All of their agents, the agencies that represent them. It was not something that they did lightly. And I think Alan Horn probably watched the movie. They asked him what he thought of it, and he probably weighed in and said, it's not very good. So I'm sure that he was somewhat involved with this because, he's somebody that would know. And I can't imagine him not being involved. So I don't think it was necessarily the best move in the world, but I think it was the move that they felt they needed to make now. And in a way, I do understand it. If the movie wasn't going to be if the movie wasn't going to be great, why throw good money after, or why throw bad money after good, or good money after bad when they're not going to make their money back? I mean, there's no financial upside to that movie if it wasn't very good, because it wasn't going to generate subscribers anyway. So why not take the write-off or write down? That's what I think it was probably a good move. But to answer your question, I'll bet you Alan Horn was involved. Jonathan Hyatt sends $20 to us. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I take that personally because you think I'm that great. Thanks for that $20. I appreciate it. I'm going to take that. I mean, I don't get to take it home with me, but I'll just thank you for the $20 tip. Thank you so much. Anonymous says, I just finished watching Game of Thrones again, and House of the Dragon has a tall hill to climb. The original has some of the greatest villains and heroes in TV history. How will it measure up to that standard? Anonymous, great question. I would say this. Like with everything else, great stories and great characters. I think that the idea of a Targaryen civil war, a civil war within a family, is inherently interesting, as long as they do a good job of developing the family. And I can see that becoming very compelling drama. It's very Shakespearean. It looks like the actors are great, and as long as, from what we've heard, the first episode's terrific, and if the first season turns out to be, I mean, the thing is, HBO did make a second Game of Thrones series, and after the pilot was made, they spent a ton of money, and they said nope, and they canceled it, and which is not unusual. A lot of pilots get made that never see the light of day, and we don't see them. And I think that the fact that they're moving forward with this, I mean, it's HBO. They know what's good. They know what's bad. I think what we're going to get is the Better Call Saul of the Game of Thrones franchise. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So I think it's going to be great. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to start. It looks really good to me. So Private Pile. When the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket said, "Bullshit, you look like you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose," I lost my shit. Oh, I lost it. The first 20 minutes of that movie is hilarious to me. I've never seen the whole movie either. What? What, Private Pile? You named yourself after that movie and you've never seen the whole thing? Look, it's the penultimate film of Stanley Kubrick's oeuvre, and you gotta watch the rest of Full Metal Jacket. It's like two different movies in one. The first half, when Gunny Sergeant Hartman is taking care of his newly minted Marines, and then you have to see them actually go to Vietnam and what happens to them. And what happens to Private Pile? Do you not know what happens to Private Pile in the movie? Well, you should watch it. It's really, really good. Obviously, Lee Ermey's performance in that role is amazing. It has some of the great profanity and the great put-downs that I've ever seen. Like when he says to everybody, and I say this now, when everybody's always fighting for diversity and inclusion and all this, I hear Gunnery Sergeant Hartman saying, "You're all equally worthless to me," after using every slur in the book. It's great stuff, because that's kind of what I think now. I think we all need a little bit of that in our own lives. Take us down a peg. But you got to watch Full Metal Jacket, man. Come on. Why have you not watched the whole movie? How can you watch just the first 20 minutes? This makes me sad. Make Bobby happy. Why not this weekend watch all of Full Metal Jacket? If you want, you could come to my house and I could show it to you in 4K, because I have the 4K disc, or not. But hey, you can do it for yourself. It's a great movie. Watch it. Report back. GC Nightwalker says, I just realized that WandaVision was 9 episodes with an average episode length of 20 minutes, with credits opening and closing. All 6 episodes have an average episode length of 45 minutes. John, I've done the math. Daredevil will indeed have an episode length of 10 minutes, 47 seconds, with credits opening and closing. Enjoy. Well, GC Nightcrawler. But remember that the thing about WandaVision was the conceit that it was a sitcom. And sitcoms were traditionally 30 minutes. So that's kind of where they got that from. So that's why. But you might be right. No, I think Daredevil is, they're going to use the Netflix Daredevil as their base model. I think they're going to emulate that. That was a 13-episode series, pretty full hour-long episodes. I would imagine that they're going to go back. If they're not like an hour long, they'll be longer. They'll probably be like 45 minutes, which is a normal TV show length now. I don't think they're going to make 10-minute Daredevil episodes. I really don't think so. I think they're gonna emulate what has already been done, because all those episodes are on Disney Plus now, so they're going to want to keep kind of the same format. At least I think they would. Nathan Diggs says, is there anyone who has been working with Kevin the whole time that DC can pluck from Marvel, like how a coordinator on a team leaves to be a head coach? Well, here's the thing, Nathan. You know, Kevin Feige has his two. He's got Louis Esposito and he's got Victoria Alonso that he's worked with. I don't think they're going to leave. Unless, again, Kevin Feige would be somebody, after you've done Marvel, I don't think that Kevin Feige, for any amount of money, would go over to DC and do the same thing again. He doesn't have to. And somebody who's done that well, I mean, Wakanda Forever is the 30th. It's the 30th MCU movie, and it would be the 30th MCU movie. That means it would be the 44th Marvel project he's produced. And I think after doing all that, why would you want to go start again at DC? I mean, maybe he likes those characters. He's always wanted to get his hands on Superman or something, but I just don't think he'll do it. I think if anything else, he'll look for new frontiers to conquer, whatever those are. So, and I don't think anybody else, I mean, maybe DC if you gave them enough money, but I don't think they're going to do that either, because they're not going to profligate spend. They're going to want to bring people over and do things for a price. They're not going to want to spend an inordinate amount of money to get personnel just to say, hey, yo, look who we brought over here, because they're going to focus more on actually making the material. So I don't think they want to spend an inordinate amount of money poaching people from another team. But you never know. I mean, maybe they will, but I don't think Kevin Feige's team is ready to be broken up. But who knows? I could be wrong. Probably not, though. Mo, let's face it. When am I ever wrong? Mo says, hey, John and crew, longtime fan from the UK. Do you think Michael Keaton replacing Batfleck as the main DCEU Batman is a decision the old WB regime made? And could we see Batfleck return again after his appearances in The Flash and Aquaman 2? I think, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I think Michael Keaton, he came back as Batman in The Flash, and with all these shenanigans, he's probably not keen to do it again. And with Batgirl gone, I mean, they literally just shelved one of his movies. I think, and also remember, Ben Affleck is in his 50s now, and being Batman it's rough. You know, that physical fitness regimen you have to follow to get in that kind of shape. It's tough on anybody, much less someone in their 50s. So I don't know. I mean, I think that they're gonna move away from all of that. You've got Pattinson, I think, is definitely gonna be at the forefront of whatever their Batman strategy is moving forward. But I could see, I mean, look, I think they could make another Ben Affleck Batman movie when he fights the Terminator, Deathstroke. I think that script, I've heard that script. I've been trying to get it. I've heard it's really, really good. I could see them making that movie as a one-off, but you never know. But I think that moving forward, it's going to be all Pattinson all the time, unless they introduce yet another new Batman. But who knows when that's going to be? I don't know. Long sends in a tip. Hey, John and everyone, I love the show. I finally saw Top Gun Maverick, and I love this movie. Oh, my God, the beach scene is the best, especially the soundtrack. Sending love from Australia. Well, Long, it is great. I loved all of Top Gun Maverick. I think I've seen it 4 times now. It's just a delightful, fun movie, and I enjoyed everything about it. Most especially, I love Jennifer Connelly in that movie. Ooh, what a hottie, even at 50. But the movie's great. It's got great music, great cinematography. I love all the flying stuff. The flying sequences are incredible, and it's a lot of fun. And I think it's universal. That's why I think it's doing so well. And you know what it is? It's just an unpretentious, fun time at the movies. You walk out of there with a smile on your face, and I think that we need more of that. That's what movies are supposed to do, right? Right. The Sock The Sock is back. I love how you've shortened your name to just The Sock. The Sock 1 of 2 says, some comics I bought recently that I'm really excited about. The Strange Talent of Luther Strode. The first issue of the second printing, which was $125. Wow. Tech World, signed by Greg. It's Evigan, right? You said Evian, but Greg Evigan he was BJ and the Bear, right? The Red Skull Incarnate set, the entire Maximum Carnage set, for which I also got for $125. Savage Dragon versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and a few Daredevil comics, including Daredevil versus The Punisher. Also, I went to Orlando for vacation on the 6th for a week, both Disney and Universal. So excited. Well, The Sock, you sound, that's a great bunch of comics. Actually, it represents a wide variety of comics, too, so congratulations on getting those. But you spent some money. Good for you. You put your money where your mouth is, and I consider comics physical media as well. So you didn't just go for that digital stuff like the kids do these days. You actually bought the books. I appreciate that. I hope you had great fun at Disney. And you didn't spend too much money there either. Did you make a lightsaber? Did you go to Galaxy's Edge? Did you make a droid? Write back and tell us. Send us pictures. I want to know. Did you go through the park and tell me everything you ate there? Because that's always fun to see how much junk food you can eat in one day at Disneyland. Like you go to all the different lands. Do you do that? Do people do that? I don't know. We used to do that all the time. What can I say? But thanks for writing in. Tell us more. Scott Brown says, I loved Joker. It was a great movie, but a hard watch. I haven't felt the need to rewatch it since the theater. So with the news of a sequel, I find myself having now a desire for it. I got what I needed out of the first one. Am I alone in thinking this? Well, Scott, I don't think so. I mean, Joker is not exactly a pleasant movie to watch. It deals with the mental degradation of a man that he shoots Robert De Niro on live TV. It's not exactly an uplifting, heartwarming film that makes you feel better about your life. It basically makes you want to put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. So I can understand you not wanting to see the film again, although I do have to say, knowing that Joaquin Phoenix is going to come back playing Arthur Fleck, and he's going to be with Lady Gaga, and it's supposed to be a musical, call me crazy, but I will watch that shit. I think it's going to be great. And I think we should be excited for it. Because if nothing else, it's going to be insane. It's going to be crazy, and I'm there for it. And I'll bet we get a few Gaga songs. And you know what? Life's always better with a few Gaga songs, right? Don't you think? I think so. She's a very talented lady. And can you imagine what costume she's going to wear? I don't think she's going to look like the traditional Harley Quinn. I think that her couture is going to be pretty phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. And that I like that promo they dropped. That was unexpected. And if Warner Brothers is behind it, this new David Zaslav Warner Discovery, I bet the script is probably pretty amazing. So, and he won an Academy Award playing that character. So I want to see what he's going to do with Arthur Fleck this time out. So be excited. Be very excited. Why not? Isn't it better to be excited in your life than to dread things? That's what I say. Digital Ronin says, hey, Rob, I subscribed and will remain subscribed to Apple TV based on you and Ray's recommendation of For All Mankind and Severance. For All Mankind is the best thing I've watched in years, and I'm glad it got the 4th season renewal. The Sandman is also my favorite comic book of all time. I'm thrilled to be watching it on my screen, but I have to say, I have a cheap Sanyo TV that is normally too dark for anything, and I've had no issues watching the show. Am I going blind? Fuck. No, you're not going blind. If you have a cheap Sanyo TV, it's probably, not color balanced anyway. So as long as you can see it and you're enjoying it, hey, I love the show. I just couldn't stand the way it looked. I didn't understand why it was so dark. And I'm glad you're digging For All Mankind and Severance. I think, look, Apple Plus Blackbird is really good. The final episode goes up today. It's only a 6-episode limited series. I like the morning show. I think Apple has had a lot of very great original programming on it. And I think it's worth it. It's cheap too. It's like $4 a month. I'll keep it just so I can rewatch episodes of For All Mankind. But I'm glad you're digging it. Ray, what did you think of this week's episode of For All Mankind?
Good.
That's it? I got nothing more.
I'm sorry, bro.
Got nothing more than that. It's good.
You know what? I'm just sad that it's going to be one more episode, and then I'm going to have to wait.
I know, a year.
Because, see, this is what's going to happen. As soon as I watch that episode or let it all sink in, maybe I'll keep Apple TV Plus an extra day just so I could, think of all the episodes I want to rewatch. And then I'm going to cancel it, and then I'm going to come back when season 4.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? I gotta work my ways. I can't be paying premium $5.
I agree, man.
If I don't use it.
I agree. What about you, Jonathan?
I don't have it, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that in Paramount Plus. What my plan is to get through all the series that I gotta watch on the stuff I'm already paying for, and then I'm gonna add the other ones. And
Jonathan actually said to me the other day that he's actually thinking about watching For All Mankind.
No, that's one of my that's why I'm gonna get those
yes. See. Come on.
We're spreading the gospel. You got 30 episodes to watch, buddy.
I can do it.
We need more swag, baby.
I know. Come on,
man. Give me
a
sweatshirt that fits.
They got to send me more stuff.
If I was able to binge all of Breaking Bad, I can do this.
Yeah, it's true. That's it? We got nothing more? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls, however you identify across the 28 known galaxies, this brings us to an end of the John Campea Show mailbag for today, Friday, August 5th, 2022. I'm your host, Robert Y. Burnett, and you can find me on Instagram at RMBurnett. Find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me at Post Geek Singularity on YouTube or postgeeksingularity.com on the interwebs. That's my website. Lots of interesting content there. Other than that, I don't know what to do except just wish you all a happy weekend. Happy weekend. I don't know what that means. There's Happy Mondays, and that's a band. Happy weekend. I don't know. Just have a good weekend. Don't drink and drive. Just drink. Or if you don't want to, don't. Go see a movie. Don't go see Easter Sunday. Or if you want to see it, go see it. But don't blame us. Anyway, on that note, we'll see you back here on Monday for the next episode of the John Campea Show.